I'm not going to live under tyranny again.
Strike like you mean it. We cannot afford to hesitate.
Envoy? Is it really you? Mihala told us you went into some place called the Garden to seek a god?
When you didn't return, we took you for dead.
What did you see there? The god you felt in Nakutadek?
The origin of the Dream Scourge? It was the act of a god this whole time?
Everyone, please, please. We could get to the bottom of this if you would only let them speak.
It's been weeks, Envoy. What happened?
Sapadal was responsible for the Dream Scourge. Their rage, their confusion, their fear.
But the plague isn't over. Dream Thralls still litter Shatterscarp.
There won't be any new infections. We've put a stop to that for good. Unfortunately, there's little we can do for those already in the grip of the Dream Scourge. We can give them comfort, nothing more. This will be a process. The Dream Scourge was never going to simply go away overnight.
I suppose it stands to reason. I found that a quick fix is often anything but. What of this god, then? What does it mean that you freed them? Ludwig had intimated that this land grew a new god. But how can that be?
Giada and I have some theories about the nature of the Adra in the Living Lands.
I'd say we're past the point of theorizing.
If the Adra here is a closed system, like a terrarium for our souls, then a gradual accumulation of essence could coalesce into a being in the beyond.
Much like the formation of gemstones. All it takes is time and the right application of pressure.
Wodka no doubt saw Sapadal as a threat to her authority. So, she killed the godless and imprisoned their god.
I assume it is this god we have to thank for the roots tearing apart Paradise? They erupted from the earth the moment those bastards stood up their first siege tower.
Nakutadek was riven with those things, not to mention what they did to the land.
We saw similar destruction at Nakuku Bell. If these roots and the Dream Scourge are the work of a god, and the gods thought it best to imprison this god, how could you let such a creature go free?
Let's hope they don't decide to further amend themselves by coming for our heads.
It was Adir's arrival that disturbed Sapadal. We'll have nothing to fear from this god once we expel you from our lands.
Sapadal's power ravaged my people. I don't know that I can ever trust it.
Keeping watch over Sapadal was a sacred task Nandru gave us when he left. For that reason alone, my wardens owe them their allegiance.
Well, whatever happens, I suppose we can't put the godling back in the bottle now.
But come, we have more pressing matters to attend to. The Steel Garrote have attacked Paradise. Inquisitor Ludwig has already joined the battle. She must have traveled like the wind to get here so fast.
You did. I kicked her corpse when you weren't looking, just to be sure.
Well, she's seen better days, but you wouldn't know it judging by how she fights.
Ludwig's plowed through the militia like a knife through warm butter.
All right, let's keep the similes to ourselves.
Oh, cheer up. You wouldn't be the first to make that mistake. Might not be the last either, depending on how things go. So long as her passion for Wodika lives, so too will her spirit.
Then we destroy her faith? and the rest of her will follow. I have a theory about this. Let's talk at camp if you want to hear it. But I think we can kill her.
Oh, good. That will be easy.
It is not, I think, impossible. Well, you might not believe me, but I didn't want any of this to happen. It was Ludwine who called for the attack.
I didn't hear an answer, Ambassador.
She and her steel garrote laid siege to the city shortly after you beat her to the garden.
We've had no news from inside for several days. From what we can observe, southern Paradis is in pieces, and the remaining militia batters at the gates to no avail.
Is there nothing our people can do?
Given the state of our supply route after the Dream Scourge, and the Steel Garrote's destruction, we expect the people trapped inside will run short of fresh food and clean water in a matter of days.
We brought as many Hale and Abel from Thirdborn as would come. But after the Dream Scourge and our losses from Nakuku Bell, we could spare so few. I worry it won't be enough.
Likewise, my wardens are still reeling from effects of the eruption. The keep was saved, but there is much to repair, particularly if we are to endure a siege. Most of my men remain at the keep. I can't risk them against the Steel Garrote for the sake of Paradis, not when we are so few.
Well, that's been a point of debate. We can't agree on how to stand against the Steel Garrote, nor who should lead the effort.
Nobody wants to risk their people at the front.
So you let the Paradis militia go it alone?
Even if our meager forces should make it inside.
The siege won't end until Ludwine does. And none of you know how to kill her.
Precisely. The lawful settlement of a new Adirian colony, supposedly. Or the establishment of a Wodekin state. She could win with a godlike in her ranks. Your presence would serve as a powerful endorsement. I suspect that's rather the point. If they don't believe in the strength of her convictions, she'll show them. Remember, she has an obligation to Wodica, a solemn oath. And neither the Steel Garrote nor the Queen that was look kindly upon oathbreakers.
Because a victory here would discourage resistance elsewhere. The better question is, why didn't you stop her?
Excuse me? She's a 7-foot-tall skeleton powered by her devotion to the goddess of retribution. This isn't my fault.
Sure. Just blame the dead woman. Very mature.
Who else should I blame exactly? Our envoy, perhaps? For not stopping Ludwine and the Tusks?
You could start with blaming your own incompetence.
Ludwine's the muscle. I'm merely the personality. What was I supposed to do? Frown her into submission?
What good are you as a diplomat if you can't even keep your own beast under control?
The Inquisitor was so convinced the Living Lands would unite against Adir that she's nearly made it true. One people, one law, one true God. That's Ludwine's vision for the Living Lands.
Oh, I can't wait to see how you weasel out of this one.
I know it will. We are leading by example, returning order and dignity to Paradis in the wake of the Clavager's death. We will do the same to the frontier, given the chance.
Where was order and dignity when the Steel Garrote attacked my home?
My administration had nothing to do with that, as I know you know. Adirian rule and rule by the Steel Garrote would be markedly different beasts.
Spoken like a fucking diplomat. Splitting hairs when it all comes from the same head.
Order and dignity. That's what you think we're missing? Bastards! All of you!
You will take it all, whether the chance is given to you or not.
What passes between Ludwine and her men, or between Ludwine and the Emperor, for that matter, is not my affair. But if I had to guess, this was the alternative.
Your empire is doing what it does best. Stamping out dissent until surrender is the only option.
Your republics are hardly any different. Their intentions in the Deadfire were certainly not pure.
As you say, we left the republics for a reason.
I've answered your questions. Now I would like you, all of you, to answer mine. Ludwig has sent a message to the Emperor informing him of her attack. He will send advisors and reinforcements swiftly in response. What will his representatives find when they arrive? A new colony? A budding grave room? Before you face Ludwig, you should know what you're fighting for. All of you must decide, together. But whatever you decide, understand, the days of the frontier are done. Adir will come. Indeed, we are already here. The Living Lands would become an extension of the Adiran Empire in leadership and law. Soldiers bearing the flag of Adir would be garrisoned in every town. They would be paid in Adiran shelling and speak only the Adiran language. Their roads would be smooth Adiran roads. Their medicine would be hygienic Adiran medicine. And their weapons would be efficient Adiran weapons. Our customs would become their customs. Our strengths would become their strengths. Our emperor would become their emperor. Turned toward a common purpose. No one, not Rauatai, not the Valian republics, not even a rogue god, would dare attack the Living Lands. This island would be safe for the first time in its history, and safe it would remain.
He would suppress our culture before it's had a chance to grow. Everything my people cultivated would be reduced to a footnote. If you have any love for this land, do not allow him to overwrite our history.
Rauatai built its empire from colonies like this. Many have become centers of culture and prosperity, backed by the protection of a strong navy. Of course, it can take decades to get there. And this road isn't an easy one. But Adir won't be the only empire eyeing this place. A formal agreement now could protect us from something worse later.
It shall be peaceful in that all dissenters will be silenced. So there's that.
The Living Lands is a lot of things, but it will never be Adir, no matter how hard Adir wants it to be. Adir should turn back now and save everyone a bunch of blessed trouble.
The Adir's promise. Flip our feathers as we find our wings. The deed binds as the wire binds. To drown us, why were we set free?
The traditions of Solus are what give my wardens their strength. Without them, we would buckle under the weight of the tusks. I would sooner walk my people into the acid sea than trust an Adiran to hold me up.
What need does Thirdborn have for the protections of Adiran soldiers? We have cannons, cliffs, and wills forged in the storms of Rauatai. And should Rauatai come for us, we will rain hellfire down on their heads. Your Adirans could do no better.
Under Adiran rule, your countrymen would strip my people of everything that makes them unique, all in the name of spiritual hygiene. I cannot betray them like that.
Of course. The Living Lands would retain its own laws under a grave appointed by the Emperor. The grave would be expected to promote and develop the Living Lands to our mutual benefit. They would divide the island into administrative districts and see them governed by mayors appointed from the local communities. The island would provide tribute in the form of resources and taxes, and in times of war, soldiers. The Empire, I should note, is nearly always at war. In return, the Living Lands would enter Adir's sphere of influence, and should outside nations attempt to invade, we would come to the Grave Room's aid. Naturally, that would be the Emperor's decision. But I suspect he would choose you. Only the strong survive the frontier,
I used to believe that was Ludwig. But you were born to rule here. Quite literally. You're the obvious choice. There is no Adiran who knows this place better than you.
Tribute, he says. Taxes. Soldiers. The Empire has tried it all before. Look to the Eastern Reach if you don't believe me. They want to bleed us dry, to fill their coffers and fight their wars, to break us like wild animals. But I will not bend.
It's still a gamble, but I think it's the safest bet. We get the benefits of Imperial trade and protection without losing all of what makes this place special. There's no way of knowing what it would mean in another generation or two. But right now, it gives us the security and stability to recover.
We were fine before Adir showed up, and we'll be fine when they're gone. Trust the lands and her people, Envoy.
If we give Adir power over us, we can't be surprised if they decide to flex it later.
Subtle, pernicious, cut the rot, yet the disease remains. Safety among spiders. A web gleaming with dew. They weave, they wait.
We give up our fighters and the wealth of our lands, and get promises in return. But we have wealth enough to give some away, if it means my wardens may return to their vigil in peace.
A grave rum could work, so long as trade keeps moving through the Scarp and you're willing to serve as our go-between, Envoy. And we'll have cannons enough to deter the Adirans from trying anything stupid.
With the Dream Scourge ended, my people can soon return to Fior. If a renewed animancy could easily feed the island, I suppose we could send Adir what's left. But when lean times come, who will we feed first? Ourselves or the Empire?
Of course. Oh, Envoy, no. Do not suggest that lightly. Think of the Emperor. There would be reprisals. Ones which this conclave could not survive, fractured as you are. Not unless you came together and formed a nation of your own. It would be difficult. No, impossible. I'm certain you would fail. Think of your people, all of you. Think of the lives at stake.
We deserve our autonomy, even if we must fight for it. Anything less would be surrender.
Fleeing someone else's laws and authority is one thing, setting up your own is another. We're an island of misfits and dissidents. We'll still have to surrender some of our autonomy, and we won't agree on what that means overnight. We'll be vulnerable. Without allies, other powers will see us as ripe for the picking. Know that this is a hard road to walk.
We were fine before Adir came. We'll be fine when they're gone.
I think we ran things perfectly fine before your kin got here.
Though I'm hardly eager to work with any of you. I like the idea of twisting beneath Adir's boot heel, even less. So long as the Wardens can continue our vigil, I'm open to uniting, if you are.
It's a nice idea, but consider the costs. If we walk away from a relationship with Adir, we're leaving a lot of trade on the table. But the people of Thirdborn have friends in the world. I'm sure we'd find our way through.
With the Envoy's support, we'd have a god in our pocket. What could the Empire do to stop us? When my people return to Fior, we could create such miracles of animancy, the living lands would become the breadbasket of the world.
Risk into bounty. Does the winter frost dissuade the seeds? Many fruits on our boughs. We graft many leaves into strength.
Well, let's not twiddle our thumbs while Paradis burns. A fine compromise.
So long as my wardens are left in peace, we will endure a grave rum.
To brisk trade. A docile Shatterscarp and a grave rum.
A grave rum, then, if we must. And, God's willing, Fjord will feed the world.
I do not trust your empire to show restraint in its control of the living lands. Gods help us.
We can worry about the future when it comes. This at least gives us the backing to survive and rebuild.
Right. Might as well go ahead and start designing those rebel flags sooner rather than later.
Good. We'll have perhaps a whole week of peace before the yoke starts chafing.
I will do my level best to convince the Emperor to accept a grave room. That leaves the matter of Ludwine and the Steel Garrote. She will never surrender, Envoy. You must kill her, or we will lose Paradise, and eventually the island.
Whatever happens to the living lands, at least I can kill Ludwine. I'll take that over nothing.
She better say her goodbyes while she can.
I'm proud to fight at your side, Envoy. One last time.
Let's get to work then. We've got a walking corpse to bury.
The Paradise militia will be at your back. Give her no quarter. The future waits for you.
Thank you for deserving it. Now, go and teach the Steel Garrote a lesson they will never forget.
Show them that the living lands will not be broken across Vodka's knee.
We will send reinforcements to help you reclaim the Eastern Gate. From there, work your way to the main plaza. Let's just say this is not my first brush with a tyrannical authority, though. I pray it is my last. May all the gods of Eora and the living lands protect you.
Let's take back the city. Whatever happens tomorrow, the Steel Garrote can only make it worse.
Time to stop the Steel Garrote. Lead the way, Envoy.
Let's go free a city, shall we?
It was always a weird sort of quiet on the eve of battle. I'm feeling that now. Seems like a good time to gather our thoughts and share a drink before whatever's coming.
Right. This seems like a perfect place to stop and relax.
Though it's hard enough to tell what's real here without a belly full of drink.
Sounds like you're nervous, dearie.
I'm feeling all kinds of ways. Anxious, excited, scared, hungry.
I feel it as well. It is only mortal to feel overwhelmed in the presence of the immortal.
Oh, you don't have to worry about me. Getting to see that vision of Tama did me good. Like, I finally let go of something I'd been holding too long. Now that we're here, I'm eager to see this through. Nothing worse than holding your breath and waiting. I can't say that I'm prepared, but I'm ready.
I had a feeling you might ask me that. I'm not sure I've really worked through what I've seen here, but I am grateful for the chance to see Yonku again. I feel like we're almost done with all of this, but we are in the weirdest place in the world, so who knows? I'm completely baffled, but when haven't I been lately? Being afraid doesn't even feel scary anymore.
I think so. The garden is so much more than I expected. Full of contradictions. Wild, yet serene. Truthfully, I didn't come all this way searching for my own answers. But I found them. Or perhaps they found me. And now, it's like there's a new path laid out before me. A life after the Dream Scourge. We're close to something. A threshold between calm and crisis. Conflict and peace. Life and death. So am I. None of us could have gotten this far on our own.
Well, I won't lie to you, Envoy. A lot's happened. It's not every day that you learn that you're the last hope to carry on a legacy, but... well, here we are. Never literally talked to myself before either. I think I annoyed her. Me? Oh, I think I need another drink. But here we are. I just need a moment to take it all in. Thank you, dearie. I'll be ready by the time the fun starts. And I wouldn't worry. Our little group here is perfectly frightening, and I'm sure our enemies would agree. We'll be fine. I can't speak for anyone else, though.
You've listened to all of us. How about you? You've been through a lot since you arrived. You've been shipwrecked and assassinated, harangued by gods, bureaucrats, and a death guard. You've had your soul poked, your loyalties questioned, and your sleep regularly interrupted by a god with no respect for privacy. And yet you've kept yourself and all of us together. How are you really doing?
You're very resilient. Under different circumstances, I would credit your nature as a godlike. But we all know better. You're strong enough to survive anything. Sappadal picked a good soul when they made you.
That actually made sense to me. As if I've learned something about souls and whatnot.
I'll take that as a compliment.
How about you, Envoy? What keeps you so stoic in the face of everything? Oh, your lecturer must have been furious. You're lucky to be alive.
When we first met, I didn't think you'd last long. But then I saw how you handled that dream thrall bear. Shook off your own death like a bad cold. And then you found your own killer, lulled him into complacency, and handed him over. You're shrewd. Even here, where you should be out of your depth and out of your element, you stayed 2 steps ahead.
I didn't know much about you at that point. You were traveling with Kai and you died, which I thought made a lot of sense.
I remember your calm. How you listened to my shouting match with the governor, and actually heard me. You saved my city, and gave me a home. A sanctuary where I could be myself. I'll never forget that.
You were my hero right away. You rescued me from those sporlings. You got my priceless face. What more could a girl ask for?
And now look at you. Look at us. How far we've come in a short time. Quite a lot, as it turns out. But the journey is worth it.
Not to raise the sails before the anchor, but we left trouble in our wake. Fjord, Thirdborn, Solace. If we make it out of here, it won't be to a living lands suddenly at peace.
Just this once. Could we forget about the rest of the living lands? Some of us could use a break.
Oh, that doesn't mean it's Giada's scary story time, does it?
I thought my stories were insightful.
If we can't take a moment to ourselves on a floating island outside reality, then I don't know where we can.
Right. We could all use some beauty rest. We'll want to look our best on the battlefield, won't we?
Sleep well. Tomorrow we finish this together.
Can't sleep? Neither can I. We're going into battle for the soul of the living lands, rallying under the banners of the Paradise Militia. Your Emperor will not be pleased. Political influence is dangerous. If you aren't careful, it can turn against you. When a godlike fights in battle, people take note of which side. The Adirans will doubt your loyalty. The locals will doubt your commitment. You may even doubt yourself. This is the first time you were told to pick a side. And I fear it won't be the last. All we ask in return is that you do the same for us. From what I understand, your ambassador is very persuasive, very powerful, and very accustomed to getting his way. For a politician like him, losing a battle is not a defeat. It's an opportunity. When he promises you the world, don't listen. He'll fill your head with lies if you let him. I'm glad we understand each other. It's good to see you fighting for the misfits and rabble-rousers. Time for you to get some rest. We have a big day ahead of us. In truth, I'm not as worried as I used to be. I've been thinking about the Inquisitor. Formulating a theory, you might say. A Death Guard clings to their existence by force of will. Stubbornness, unfinished business, that sort of thing. Ludwig is held together by faith, and that may be her undoing. Precisely. Faith is the foundation of her reality. Faith in the righteousness of the gods. But according to her faith, Sapadal should not exist. A new god independent of hers? Blasphemy. By that logic, you shouldn't exist either. And yet here you are. That's my point, exactly. I think you already have. You are the godlike of a heretical god. A contradiction to her reality. Can you imagine how much she needs you to die? Her entire worldview depends on it. Who knows? Maybe that uncertainty is enough to make her mortal again. Or maybe not. I'm just theorizing as I go. Whatever happens, I want to see it for myself. For the research. Is it really that obvious? No matter who wins or loses, the living lands won't be the same. In my heart, I know that's a good thing. Life is impossible without change. And change can be frightening. I just want to put this behind us. I want it to be over. Not before I've done some reading. We should take a moment to acknowledge what happened back there. You liberated the god of the living lands. Now they are unchained, free to do whatever they want. That's quite a gamble you made. I admire your confidence. If not for you, Sapadal would still be pacing their cage like a wild animal. Which means you have leverage over a god. How do you plan on using it? That's a lot of responsibility, but I have faith you're equal to it. Sapadal's imprisonment shaped this island. Now that everything's changed, I'm curious what will happen. We cannot know if the living lands will normalize or destabilize as a result of our actions. Eventually, maybe you'll find some comfort in prayer, now that one of the gods is listening. I hope you don't mind me bringing it up. The subject matter is a bit much for our little camp. You're too kind. I want you to know this has been an unforgettable experience. Wherever we go from here, I'm grateful to have been a part of it. Until next time. Pleasant dreams.
You should get some sleep. Big day coming up. Right. Things feel different now. Wrong, somehow. I've been in a lot of dangerous situations, but it's always been a fight to survive. It's just a fight. Putting my life on the line for someone else's cause. It's the opposite of survival. It's foolishness. You know, I've never seen a bear go to war. They fight for survival, not for causes. We're about to go out there and risk our lives for what? A concept of how things ought to be? We might die, all to determine who sleeps in the nicest house in Paradise until the island decides it's time for a change. It's fine, really. But it's some blessed day Sokka when you think about it. Right. Careful you don't get stuck in all that sap. I'll be all right on the way. You go get some blessed day rest.
Show me what you... Nice job, everyone. Who's ready?
It's no use. We're overrun.
You promised on our first day of training. You can't die now. You can't.
Let the worst come. I am ready. Foolishness.
Watch your back!
Your days are numbered.
Go ahead. I'll hang back and watch them.
For our freedom!
Good shooting, Kai.
I heard. Stop right there.
Well, if you insist.
Envoy over here. What exactly do you think you're doing?
Liviana, don't you ever take a break?
You nearly died in my clinic. Correction, you did die. And now look at you, fighting the steel garrote. What have you got to say for yourself? Well, at least you're alive. Try and keep it that way. Kai, is this your doing?
Come on. I couldn't have kept him out of the action if I wanted to.
I knew you were a bad influence. We're patching up folks as best we can, but I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. War is a damn bloody mess. You're damn lucky to be one of those few. At least for now. I can't say I approve of you leaping into the fray, but it's always nice catching up with a former patient. Gods be with you, Envoy. For my sake, try not to die a second time.
Come on. You know this. You practiced with Uncle Capo 100 times. Tight? Not... Too tight. You don't want to cut off the blood flow.
Envoy!
Let me out!
On your right!
They've taken the main plaza. I'll stay behind.
Dream with us!
Paradisans know these streets. We're not giving them up without a fight.
Boudica demands your submission. Stand against her and fall!
Let's pay Ludwig one final visit, shall we?
Lead on. I'm with you to the end.
Let's make sure she stays dead this time. All right, dearie?
So, you survived the garden. Did you come all this way just to try your luck again? To kill me more efficiently than last time? Our conflict was foretold the moment you were born. You can no more avoid it than I can die. Look around, Envoy. Heelguard should have listened. He tried to bring order through compromise. He failed. Order is meant to be imposed by a stern, guiding hand.
Her order wields sharp steel. She must set down her blade.
Heelguard is a fool if he thinks half measures will save the island. When this is over, I'll instruct him, personally.
I won't weep for Heelguard.
As for you, Sapadal's chains are broken, which means your soul is in their grasp. I don't know how deeply you've been compromised, Envoy. And if I don't know, then I cannot suffer you to live. That's what they want you to think. Steel yourself, Envoy. Make this a fight to remember, even in death.
We would not welcome her death. There is still ample shade for her beneath our tree.
Really, Envoy? You think the delusional theories of a failed animancer are enough to scare me? Then allow me to teach you the meaning of fear.
Let's finish this. Together.
You won't be missed, Ludwig.
Once I'm done killing you...
Here we go! We are...
Whoa! Queen among queens! Send me your aid! Throw up hands! Help me! One last time! Where are you? No! Don't abandon me now!
She's desperate, Envoy. This is it!
Get her now!
Wherever Ludwig is now, she must be seething.
Of course, we'd be happy to kill her again, if needed.
She's done for you, but we're not. Whatever's next, we'll face it. Together.
Guys, you're all gonna make me sick. But carry on.
Unraveled at last. We no longer feel her wire against our flesh. We are free always. We are free forever.
Silence falls over Paradise, as though the city is holding its breath. Then you hear it, the ringing of a distant bell, the waving of banners, and cheers of victory. After a short and bloody conflict, the dust has finally begun to settle. You feel Sapadal close to your thoughts, stirring with interest. The god of the living lands is observing this moment, unfettered by confusion or fear. For the first time in centuries, they understand. The Paradise militia rallies to you, the outsider who defended them in their hour of need. Whatever happens next, you have won their confidence. You take a moment to reflect on the calm. Not so long ago, you arrived at these shores on a simple errand, which turned out to be anything but simple. The Dream Scourge is over, and the island has been cleansed of plague. A time of healing and mourning follows. People look to you for answers about the source of the affliction. You tell them the truth, how the plague came from a power beyond mortal understanding, and how it is finally at peace.
With your guidance, the Living Lands becomes a vassal of the Adiran Empire. In exchange for their taxes and soldiers, the free settlements are protected from future attacks. The fight for survival is over. The rebels of Paradise come to learn that resistance is futile. After the assassin Egwolf died in custody, many of his worst fears about the Empire are confirmed. Some of his people splinter off, while others abandon the fight entirely. Their alliance is never the same. The refugees of Emerald Stair resettle in Thirdborn, bringing their skills and research to aid the local community. What starts as an uneasy partnership blossoms into a bond of trust. Through shared adversity, they find common ground. In time, the people of Emerald Stair return to their city of Fior Messiverno. Animancy still has a place in the Living Lands, but the Empire's disapproval gets in the way of progress. Their work is slow, but unstoppable. Though Adir has promised that the Living Lands will retain their autonomy, not everyone in Shatterscarp trusts the Empire. But many Adiran ships sail into the Graverum's ports, bearing fine linens and aged wines. These ease the painful memory of the day Reengrim culled their people. After the Living Lands is declared a vassal of Adir, Solace Keep reluctantly opens the doors of its fortress, though not before numerous missives are sent to Mihala demanding the Graverum be honored. Her reluctance costs the dwarves. The Pargrunen are never favored in trade negotiations, and are the last to be supplied by Adiran caravans. But the Wardens have rounder bellies than anyone can remember. When Kai returns to Thirdborn, he's no longer running. He finds a town that's been diminished by struggle, conflict, and tragedy. He finds home. He helps repair Thirdborn's walls and train its defenders, carrying on Tama's legacy. And while his labors do not restore all that was lost, they build something new. With many of his anxieties and lifelong fears addressed, Marius now feels very differently than he did when he first met the Envoy. Still far more comfortable in the wilds than among people, he nonetheless finds that his worries about the unknown were merely self-protection against the traumas of his childhood. Armed with this knowledge, he finds himself more capable of living in civilization, and far less fearful of his home in Galawain's tusks. While he never regains his former place as a Warden of Solace, he spends his time traveling between Solace and Thirdborn, acting as a stubborn ambassador between the two. Giada continues to improve as an animancer. She dedicates her work to the spiritual health of the Living Lands, nurturing instead of exploiting. Others follow her example, seeking her tutelage from lands far and wide. In the years to come, rumors spread of a secret society gathering in the wilderness, where animancers work in harmony with nature. The dream of Fior Messiverno lives on in her. In a past life, Yatsley was given a task: protect the history and knowledge of the godless. Now, many lifetimes later, she continues upholding that oath. She moves into the library in the garden, spending her days poring over the clay tablets there. But not even the letters from, and rare visit to, her lover help ease the loneliness that fills her days. Freed from torment for the first time in centuries, Sapadal turns their prodigious curiosity to the people that shaped them. They observe the ways their people live, and they think deeply about what they see. Though they flinch away from moments of violence, and they grieve souls returned to them too soon, the rage that once shook cities to rubble no longer rules them. Instead, they come to you with questions. They want to understand. After a time, they begin, tentatively, to garden. Where they can, they improve the lives of Kith, and the suffering that troubled them is reduced, if never fully eradicated. Their grief compels them to love, and they love unreservedly, with the power of a god. Sopadal pours a fragment of their power into the statue they claimed from the Temple of Aethys. Newly embodied, they roam the living lands and learn to experience the world as Kith do. Their first attempts at locomotion are clumsy, and a stand of innocent trees is violently returned to the wheel. But as their confidence grows, so does their grace. Soon, they are bounding across the plains of eastern Dawnshore, leaping the river gorge in Emerald Stair, scaling the shark's teeth of Shatterscarp, and fearlessly wading into the Tusk's acid sea. When they break, they come to you to put them back together. And in time, they learn to fix themselves. They wander far afield. You see less of them. But they are never far from your thoughts. And on the rare occasion they return, they always bring you something beautiful and strange. The sounds of celebration pull you out of reverie. Many are waiting to greet you with open arms. You take a moment to catch your breath and savor it, because everything is about to change.